Hello friends, in this video I am going to discuss about the basic electrical engineering model question paper which is common to all branches. So the first question is, write the equation of converting a delta connected network to a equivalent star connected network and vice versa. To transform delta into vice or vice versa, you have to draw this figure. And if you want to transform delta into star, then the first resistor, if you want to find the resistance of the star connection, then the first resistor R10 is equal to R31 into R12 divided by R31 plus R12 plus R23. And if you want to find R20 is equal to R12 into R23 divided by the all resistance of the delta connection, R12 plus R23 plus R31. And if you want to find R30 is equal to R23 into R31 divided by R31 plus R12 plus R23. Then if you want to find the resistors of delta connected, or if you want to transform the star connection into delta connection, then if you want to find the resistors of the delta connection, then R12 is equal to R10 into R20 plus R20 into R30 plus R30 into R10 divided by the opposite resistor R30. If you want to find this resistor R23, then this resistor into this resistor into this resistor into this divided by the opposite resistor R10. Then if you want to find R31, then R10 into R30 plus R30 into R20 plus R20 into R10 divided by this R20, the opposite of this R31, R20. This is the equations which you want to write. Okay. Second question is, define RMS value, average value and form factor. RMS value is root mean square or effective value. The RMS value of an alternating current is defined as that equivalent steady direct current which when flowing through a given resistance for a given time produces the same amount of heat energy as produced by the alternating current when flowing through the same resistance for the same time. So this RMS value of an alternating current is based on its heating effect in an electric circuit. So finding this RMS value, there are two methods, that is mid-ordinate method and the analytical method. So for non-sinusoidal waves, the mid-ordinate method is more convenient, and for sinusoidal wave whose mathematical equation is known, then analytical method or integral method we can use. So the equation for the sinusoidal alternating current is given by I is equal to Im sin theta. We know that. And the equation for the squared wave, we have to find the root mean square. So we have to take a squared wave. So that is I square is equal to Im square sin square theta. The mean of the square of instantaneous value of currents over the first half cycle is equal to area of a first half cycle of a squared wave divided by its base. So equal to integral 0 to pi I square d theta divided by pi, that is equal to 1 by pi into integral 0 to pi Im square sin square theta. Sin square theta we can write it as 1 minus cos 2 theta divided by 2. So we are taking the integration of this, then theta minus sin 2 theta divided by 2. Then giving the value pi and 0, then we will get the answer as Im square by 2. Then root of the mean of a squares, that is the RMS value. When we are taking the root of it, then I is equal to Im divided by root 2. The value is 0.707 Im. So sinusoidal current, the RMS value is I is equal to Im divided by root 2. That is equal to 0.707 Im. This is the value, RMS value of a sinusoidal current. It is a 3-mark question, so you just want to define the RMS value, or you have to write the definition of RMS value and just want to write the value of the sinusoidal current. So RMS value of the sinusoidal current. Then the next is average value. The average value of an alternating current is defined as that the steady direct current which transfers across any circuit the same amount of charge as it's transferred by the alternating current during the same time. So average value is depend upon the amount of charge is transferred. And in case of a symmetrical alternating current, the average value over a complete cycle is 0. So we are taking only the half cycle for calculating the average value. In this method, we are using the same analytical method. We are not using mid-ordinate method. So in analytical method, the equation of a sinusoidal alternating current, we know that I is equal to Im sine theta and I average is equal to area of a first half cycle of the sine wave divided by its base. So integral 0 to pi I d theta divided by pi. So 1 by pi integral 0 to pi Im sine theta. Sine theta integral is minus cos theta. We are giving the value pi and 0. Then we will get the answer 2 Im divided by pi. Thus, for a sinusoidal current, I average is equal to 0.637 Im. Then, peak factor and form factor. Here, the question is only asked for the form factor, but I am discussing peak factor also. So, you have to know what is peak factor. Peak factor is the ratio of maximum value to the RMS value of an alternating quantity is the peak factor. So peak factor is equal to maximum value divided by RMS value. Maximum value is Im. So Im divided by 0.707 Im. That is equal to 1.412. Then form factor. Form factor, what is form factor? The ratio of RMS value to the average value of an alternating current is called form factor. So form factor is equal to RMS value divided by average value. So RMS value is 0.707 Im divided by 0.637 Im. Im will get cancelled and the value is 1.11. So the third question is explain the necessity of a starter in a DC motor. So before coming to this point, you have to know the working principle of a DC motor. So main principle of a DC motor is when a current carrying conductor is placed in a magnetic field, the conductor experiences a mechanical force. The direction of this force is given by a Fleming's left hand rule. What is Fleming's left hand rule? Stretch out the left hand with a forefinger, middle finger and a thumb. The forefinger is indicating the direction of the magnetic field and middle finger indicating the direction of the current and thumb will point to the direction of the mechanical force or motion of the conductor. So F is equal to BIL Newton. So in this figure, you can see this is a part of multipolar DC motor. So when the motor terminals are connected to DC mains, the armature conductors experiences a force tending to rotate the armature. When the field is excited, it develops an alternate south and north poles. Armature conductors under north pole carry currents in one direction, while the conductors under south pole carry current in opposite direction. In this figure, you can see the armature conductors in north pole having positive charge, then the armature conductor in south pole having negative charge. So the direction, by applying Fleming's left hand rule, the conductor experiences a force which tend to rotate the armature in anti-clockwise direction, positive to negative. These forces collectively produces a driving torque which sets the armature to rotate. So what is back EMF? When the armature of the DC motor rotates, armature conductors move through a magnetic field and hence EMF is induced in them. The induced EMF acts in opposite to the applied voltage. We know that according to Lenz's law, the direction of induced EMF in such a way that it opposes the force producing it and is known as back EMF or counter EMF, EB. This back EMF is less than the applied voltage. Then coming to our point, necessity of motor startup. At starting, when the motor is stationary, there is no back EMF in the armature. So, if the motor is directly switched on, the armature current is very high because of a small resistance in the armature. So, what is the disadvantage of high starting current? Burning of armature due to excessive heat, excessive current. So, excessive starting current. Then damaging the commutator and brushes due to heavy sparking. Then excessive voltage drop in the line to which the motor is connected. So in order to avoid all these things, all these disadvantages of high starting current, a variable resistance known as a starting resistance is inserted in series with the armature circuit. In this figure, you can see the RC circuit. RC is the variable resistance which is connected in series with the armature resistor. This resistance is gradually reduced at the motor gains. This resistance is gradually reduced as the motor gains speed. Hence, EB increases. And eventually, it is cut out completely after the motor has attained its full speed. Fourth question is, what are the different types of single-phase induction motors? So single-phase induction motors are the most popular and widely used in commercial and domestic fields. For example, single-phase induction motors are used in our fan. So what is the principle of operation? When a single-phase alternating current is applied to the stator winding of a single-phase induction motor, an alternating magnetic field is produced. And such a magnetic field acting on the stationary squirrel cage rotor cannot produce the starting torque needed for the motor. Hence, a single-phase induction motor is not a self-starting. So, various methods have been developed for obtaining starting torque in these motors. Most of the methods make use of separate starting winding provided in the stator slots. Hence, according to the starting method, single-phase induction motors can be divided into three: split-phase induction motor, capacitor start induction motor, shaded pole induction motor. What is a split-phase induction motor? Here, a starting winding or an auxiliary winding is used. Split-phase induction motor is provided with an auxiliary and main winding on the stator. There are displaced in space 90 degree electrical. The main winding has a relatively high reactance and low resistance, and auxiliary winding have high resistance and a low reactance. So stator winding currents IS and IM are displaced in time and space and yield a motor torque. The arrangement as a whole can be considered to be equivalent to an imperfect two-phase motor. So next is capacitor start motor. This is most popularly used single-phase induction motor, and this is similar to the split-phase induction motor. Here the capacitor is provided in the auxiliary winding to provide a proper displacement between the currents of the two stator windings. By using a proper capacitance, auxiliary winding current can be made to lead the main winding current by a good angle. And auxiliary winding provided on the stator must be removed from the circuit during running condition by a switch. Then third one is the shaded pole induction motor. So a shaded pole induction motor is a single phase induction motor that has an auxiliary winding short circuited on itself. A single turn of copper strap is wrapped around a portion of a main pole forming a closed circuit. That is called auxiliary short circuited winding. This closed circuit is normally termed as a shading coil. This shading coil causes the flux in that portion of the pole surrounded by it to lag behind the flux in the remaining portion of the pole. Hence, there are two components of a flux displaced in both time and space, and which produces a revolving magnetic field which supplies the starting torque. The fifth question is, distinguish between a feeder, distributor and a service mains. So, the part of a power system which distributes electric power for a local use is known as distribution system. So, distribution system which contains a feeder, distributor and a service mains. So, what is a feeder? A feeder is a conductor which connects the substation to the area where power is to be distributed. There is no tapping is taken from the feeder so that the current in it remains the same. The main consideration in the design of a feeder is that the current carrying capacity. Then, what is a distributor? The distributor is a conductor from which tapping are taken for supply to the consumers. In the figure, AB, BC, CD and DA are the distributors. The current through the distributor is not constant because tappings are taken at various places along its length. While designing a distributor, voltage drop is the main consideration. And the variation of voltage drop is plus or minus 6% of a rated value. Then, what is the service mains? It is the connecting link between a consumer and a distributor. Generally, a small cable is used as the service main.